Good morning. So now after I took everything off the wing, now it's time to clean up the parts and get them all nice and clean, and then apply some epoxy primer for it onto them, and then on at least the gas tank I will put top and bottom of the gas tank. I will also put some top coat on it. But all the metal attachments for the flaps, aileron, and for the struts, they will get a good coat of epoxy primer, and then I can start putting the wing back together. So today is a cleanup day. Here are the attachments. So it's mainly just, I don't know how well the camera shows, but it's mainly just some dirt and stuff in there that has to come off first. And I'm going to do that outside with just I have my handy toothbrush here and some other brushes already laying outside, but it's mainly dirt first that has to come off to see how it's actually the condition of the parts are. These are the wing struts fittings, so there's some corrosion on it. So I will, after I clean this off, I will use a wire brush. I have a couple different brushes here, this larger one, this cup brush, a smaller one I maybe can get inside of the channels here and get this all out here. But after this all cleaned up, then I'm gonna do the painting. I'm using the Stewart system. So I have this epoxy primer, which is water-based, you thin with water, but it does need a catalyst on it. So I use this system. So, but I'm not gonna videotape everything when I clean parts and when I paint them, because I think there's nothing more boring than watching somebody cleaning parts. And as far as painting, I don't videotape because I don't have any overspray on my camera. So hopefully the next shot you see is these parts are all cleaned, and then at one time hopefully they're all painted, so ready to go back onto the wing. So see you then. So in here the freshly primed parts, so flap aileron brackets attachments, wing strut attachment, the tie down attachment. So these are all primed, ready to go. I may put a top of a coat of paint on it, because in the instruction from Stewart system they do recommend that for any primer on metal you should put a top coat on, so I may do that. Here is the newly welded and also primed auxiliary tank. So again, here I will definitely put a top coat on, especially on the top and bottom where the corrosion and where the paint is going to touch the tank. Because depending on what glue you use on fabric covered airplanes, you should always, or I at least, put a top coat on, so to better for the glue not eat into any primer. So the more coats on there that can resist the paint, the glue, I think the better it is. And it's only a little extra work to put a top coat on. And then, by the way, this is my I use this a turbine spray system. It's an HVLP paint spray system. I have it for many years. Mine is an SP 2003. I painted many parts with it already. Works great. I already disconnected the hose and put it away. But that is what I use to paint the airplane. Good afternoon. So this afternoon I painted the wing strut attachment fittings and flap and aileron fittings, as well as my auxiliary fuel tank. I put primer on. One part I didn't put primer on is the this part here, which is the stop for the ailerons. So because when I cleaned it, I hope the camera can pick this up, I found mud in this hole here, this mud dabbers, And yeah, there I think you can see it. So it's been sitting long enough so it actually ate through the tube. So this I need to fix, put a new tube on. So that will be painted then at a later time. So today's the day back in the hangar, putting things back together. So here are the newly painted and refreshed flap and aileron brackets. So I'm gonna put them in later. And I've already put the new or the refurbished rear spar strut attachment in. And now I'm gonna put the strut attachments for the front on the front spar back on. So I'm gonna be working on that. It's gonna be pretty much straightforward. And then here sits the fuel tank. So it's all, I put one coat of zinc chromate on, one coat of epoxy primer, and then I put a top coat on it. So hopefully that takes care for the next 20 years, 30 years. So that's going to be maybe this afternoon or tomorrow to put that back in. I had quite a few questions about the wing rotation fixture that I'm using. It's actually not mine and I didn't make it. I had questions about how I made this, but I did not make this. It actually belongs to our local EA chapter, and it was, I think you can buy it at Werk Aero. So this is the bottom piece, has the rollers where the loop sits on so that you can actually rotate it. And then this is the loop. And the wing is attached on the wing strut attachments, so you can adjust the length up and down, you can move it sideways, so there's a lot of adjustments that can be done to fit for different wings, and it works really great. So I don't know, I got some comments that some of you want to build one. Well, I think the biggest part is gonna bending the tubes, but it's probably doable. So back to the wing, putting the wing strut fittings in, and then after they are in, then I can start working on the gas tank. So I got the strut attachment fittings back in. Of course, nothing happens like this without scratching them a little bit. So we paint everything and then just put new scratches in. But they're in. I have not tightened the bolts because I need to get the drag wires in here first and tremel the wing to make it all square. But I can't do that until the tank is back in secured. So I did drop the tank in. I put everywhere where it's possibly touching, I put Teflon tape, this anti-chafe Teflon tape. But ideally I would like for it not even to touch anything. So if these brackets sit on the spar, hopefully they can support the tank without the tank actually touching anywhere. But I'm not quite sure if that can be done. So because especially here in the front there is quite a gap here, and the tank is already laying on the rib here, so I may need to shim this a little bit so that there's no pressure really on the tank and all the pressure is really on the bracket holding the tank. So but before I can do that, I forgot to bring this the straps here, or whatever you call this. I have it laying at home, but I need to first wrap it around the rib here, so I need to lift the tank a little bit to put the new one in. I have new one at home, so I want to put that in before I go any further with the tank. So that's probably about it what I can do for today. So tomorrow I come back, put this all new here, and then probably do the final installation on the tank. Then I can put the drag wires in that go through the tank here. There's drag wires going in, connect here, and then I can square the wing, and after that is done, then I can secure all the bolts, tighten them all down for the wing strut attachments, and then basically then I can move on. I should get my new butt rib here this week. I called Dakota Cup and they said they can ship it tomorrow, so I can replace this rib here. And when that is done, I can put the leading edge back on, and then I get closer. Oh yeah, I still have to put the aileron and flap brackets back on. So I still have good work for a couple days. It would be great if I can the next week start putting the fabric on, and then it also has to go back on the rotisserie. So just keep on moving. So yesterday I got the wing strut fittings mounted, and I dropped the fuel tank in, but it's not bolted down yet because I forgot to bring this straps here that go keep the tension between the ribs when you do the tightening of the fabric. That's the only purpose they actually have, is when you iron the fabric, that the ribs don't move one way or another. So I got my roll of strap here, and I didn't put the pulley brackets back on because I took them home first to get them all cleaned up and painted. So they will go on today. And then, as I talked yesterday about the front bracket of the fuel tank, it's not sitting down on the spar, so I brought some aluminum material with me so I can make a little shimmy, like to shimmy it up a little bit, because I really do not want the tank to sit on top of the ribs. I want that the load, especially when there's fuel in it, and when I hit turbulence, that the load goes on the brackets of the tank. So let's get going on that today. Hopefully I can get all that done and get the fuel tank mounted, and then I can put the wires back in, the brace wires, so I can tremel the wing and get the wing all squared. So I'm ready to get the tank back in. So I got all these tapes on here, the straps, so the ribs can't move much. So when I put the tank in, here in the front, I noticed there's this gap here, and I don't want to pull this down with the bolts and then really put a lot of pressure here on the tank sitting on the ribs, because when the tanks are full with 11 gallon of fuel, so it's like 66 pounds, then in turbulence I think that's too much load on the ribs, and also I don't think the tank was designed for that. So I just made this little spacer here from spare material that I had laying around, so this fits right underneath, and it fits right snug underneath. So now when I
put tension on the bolt, it will actually just clamp the tank around the spar and still leaves some. I can get my fingernail under the edge of the tank here, on both sides pretty much. So yes, the tank will sit proud a little bit over the other base, but so it's visible later when all of this is on. So but I just remembered, before I put the tank on, I have to put the leading edge on. I almost forget about that. That would have been oops. So the leading edge has to go on first before I put bolt the tank down. Okay, so tank has to come back out. So today I got all the strut fittings torqued down here on both sides, also on the other side. So that's all torqued down, cotter pins are in, everything is secured. And I also got the pulleys for the aileron in, so that all looks good. So I'm making progress putting things together. I got the new the straps in here, so the ribs, they can't really move much. And then later when I do the tightening of the fabric. And so the next thing is for me to actually pull the tank back out, because luckily I recognized it and remembered it now that before I can put the tank in, so I made this little plate here, also to there's a little spacer here, but before I can put the tank in, the leading edge has to go in. So because it screws on the back side of the spar. So tomorrow, and of course for doing this I need ratchet straps, which I have at home. So tomorrow when I come back, first I'm gonna clean everything up behind here, put new tie wraps down for the wires, make sure that's all okay. Do some little cleaning up in there, also here on the like all this stuff here. I'm gonna clean that up, and then leading edge goes back on, then I can put the tank in. So, and hopefully here in the next day or so I get the new butt rib, so I can put that in. And then one thing is, so the outboard tank goes back in, but the main tank has to come out, because for later for the rib stitching, it's easier when the tank is out. So unfortunately I still have to remove stuff before it really goes back together, but taking the main tank out should not be that much of an issue. But anyhow, making progress here. So I'm taking some parts home also that need to be cleaned up and ready for a friend of mine to do some repair welding on it. So I will be working at home a little bit in my basement, but for today here at the airport I'm done. So until tomorrow.